Hello everybody, we're back again for another nightly reading. Before we start that, me and my wife, we ordered hats for our Disney World trip, and they came in, so I thought I'd show them to you. So here's this one here, this one's mine. And then this one right here, this one's hers. So tonight's story is a Peter Pan one. A Trick for Hook. The weather in Neverland was the same as it always was, warm and breezy. Perfect for Wendy, darling, to practice her flying. She, however, unsteadily several feet above the ground when she remembered what day it was. "Oh," Wendy cried. She lost her concentration and fell to the ground with an oof. "Why, it's Halloween Eve," she said, standing up and dusting herself off. "What's that?" "It's a holiday with all kinds of spooky things," Wendy explained, "and some not so spooky things, too, like bobbing for apples and turnips," John added. "Tell him about turnips, Wendy." "Oh, yes," Wendy said. "You hollow out turnips and give them a face, and put candles inside." Michael finished. "That sounds boring," Peter proclaimed rudely. Wendy thought it over. "Well, I don't think it's boring," she said. "You know, they say that All Hallows Eve, the night that all the ghosts come out." Peter's eyes widened. Now that's interesting to him. "I love ghosts," he cried, "and scary ghosts." Wendy nodded gravely. "On All Hallows Eve," she said in a whisper, "the bats stay home, the owls hide in their trees, even the spiders are afraid to show their faces." "That's how scary the ghosts are," Peter shivered. "That's spooky," he said. He examined his arms, looking for goosebumps. Children all piled into Peter's hideout, and Wendy continued describing All Hallows Eve. "People play tricks on each other on All Hallows Eve," she said, "and tell spooky stories." "Like what?" asked Peter. "Well, there's a story Papa used to tell us about the haunted turnip," Wendy said. "Gave me nightmares." Peter looked thoughtfully. In fact, he looked like he was hatching a brilliant scheme. "Tricks," he said, Peter pacing back and forth. "Spooky stories, nightmares." And he flew straight up to the ceiling, so fast he almost hit his head. "I've got it," he said. "We'll play an All Hallows Eve trick on Captain Hook." Peter dug around under the Lost Boy's hammock. Finally, he found what he was looking for, an old white sheet and tattered pirate hat. "If there's one thing Captain Hook's afraid of," Peter said, "it's the crocodile who ate his hand. But if there's one thing all pirates fear, it's a ghost of the old sea dog." "Who is that?" Wendy asked nervously. "He's from a scary story pirates tell each other," Peter said. "A legend he was supposed to have been the wickedest and cruelest of them all." Peter tossed the sheet over his head and tossed the pirate hat over that. "We're going to make Captain Hook think the ghost of the old sea dog is haunting Neverland and All Hallows Eve," he said. "Ooh," Peter added with a high-pitched tone, "shiver me timbers." Wendy shuddered. and she knew Peter was under the sheet, but it still was scary. Peter and Tinkerbell, Wendy, and the boys snuck down to the beach as quietly as they could. Leading Bell had fallen, and they stuck out the shadows and winked. When they reached the water, Tinkerbell sprinkled Wendy and the boys with pixie dust. The group rose into the air, gliding silently above the waves. Soon they had reached the Jolly Roger. "Shh," Peter whispered as he flew quickly around the wheel where Hook stood. "Look, over there on the deck." The night air was still. And the sound of the ocean lap the side of the ship was faint. Wendy, Peter, and the boys hovered silently in the shadow of the ship, breathing as quietly as they could manage. Aboard the Jolly Roger, Hook shifted from one foot to the other. The shuffling was bothersome on the deck, eerily loud. "All Hallows Eve," Hook muttered to himself. "I hate All Hallows Eve." "What's that, Captain?" came jaunting an unexpected response from the shadow. Hook jumped a mile in the air. "Smee!" he yelled. "Don't sneak up on me like that." "Sorry, Captain," Smee said. "I forgot how you hate All Hallows Eve." "It's bad enough to have crocodiles sulking around," Hook whined. "Now I have to watch out for ghosts on top of it." Hiding from sight, Peter winked at Wendy. There's Peter. "Woo!" Peter moaned softly, still hiding out of sight on the ship. "What's that?" Captain Hook called sharply. "Woo!" Peter added, a little louder. "Who is that?" came Smee. "It is I," Peter said, as he rose quietly from the deck and fluttered to the ocean wind. "The old sea dog." He flew straight at Hook, moaning and shrieking. Hook screamed and flung himself to the deck. Laughing, the children fled as fast as they could. The look on Hook's face was priceless. When Peter Wendy asked when she and her brother landed on the beach, the boys looked around and Peter was nowhere to be found. "Let's go home," Wendy suggested. "Maybe he'll meet us there." But as they approached Peter's hideout, the hair on the back of Wendy's neck began to stand up. They could see an eerie glow through the trees. A glow like boo. Wendy gasped as a ghostly face appeared in front of them, grinning head with no body, and bobbing and staggered in the air. It was a floating turnip. "I tricked you," crowed someone with a familiar voice. Peter stepped out of the shadow, laughing as he heard. Hard, he was clutching his sight. Next to him hung the turnip, attached to a string. Wendy sighed. "Peter, you really frightened me," she scolded him. "But it was a good trick," she added. "That was the idea," he said. "After all, it's All Hallows Eve. Why settle with one scare when you can have two?" Alright, well that was tonight's story. I hope you enjoyed it. Until we see each other again tomorrow. Bye bye.